Final Fantasy is one of the most iconic video game franchises to have ever existed. Like Mario, Final Fantasy is almost synonymous with video games. There has been a total of 15 mainline releases in the franchise. That too without taking into account the various sequels, spin-offs, remasters and remakes. Of course you won't have to play a single one of them to get into Final Fantasy 16, as all of them are standalone independent titles. So quite naturally, a release of a new mainline Final Fantasy is always a huge deal in the world of video games. Though the franchise is no longer as monumental as it used to be in the 90s, it still commands a huge amount of hype and anticipation whenever a new game is announced. Final Fantasy is no longer the juggernaut it used to be in the 90s, and many like me, who grew up on Western RPGs and modern GTAs, Final Fantasy as a series might not capture our imagination quite like a GTA or The Witcher 3. My first Final Fantasy game was Final Fantasy VII Remake, released back in 2020. While I was really impressed by its story, the hugely different combat and the general tone of how the story was told felt really odd to me, as I was not really accustomed to any previous Final Fantasy or JRPGs for that matter. In 2020, during the release of PS5, we got the first glimpse of the next mainline entry into the series, Final Fantasy 16. I do not know what exactly happened, but right from that first reveal trailer, this game really got me interested. So suffice to say, I was hyped for the release of Final Fantasy 16. It looked like just the evolution of the franchise I, as a non-JRPG and Final Fantasy fan, was looking for. And I am really happy to say that this highly anticipated installment in this franchise has emerged as a groundbreaking entry that pushes the boundaries of the series well into the future. This is my review of Final Fantasy 16 after finishing the main campaign and some of the side quests. First things first, the story. The story has always been the main focus of Final Fantasy games. Right from the days of pixelated beginnings, weaving up a compelling narrative has always been the series' strong point, and Final Fantasy 16 does not just deliver in this department, it hits a home run. Final Fantasy 16 transports players to the world of Valisthea, a land rife with conflict as neighboring kingdoms compete for unattained resources, particularly the 5 monumental mother crystals that fuel its magic. The plot and the setting is something that heavily resembles the early good seasons of Game of Thrones. The story unfolds over several decades and centers around Clive Rosfield, a valiant prince of Rosaria and the protector of his brother Joshua. As players embark on this grand adventure, they witness Clive's personal growth and transformation, guided by a diverse and memorable cast of characters, including Jill, his childhood friend, and Sid, a charismatic yet friendly leader. The storytelling in Final Fantasy 16 seamlessly weaves together rich lore and emotional depth, keeping players fully engaged and invested in the expansive world of Valisthea. When I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, even though I liked the story, the tone and the general way the narrative was delivered seemed very childish to me. Call me spoiled by excellent high fantasy tales of Witcher and Dragon Age, I just could not take the threads in the plot seriously in Final Fantasy VII Remake. With Final Fantasy 16, this has come as a huge welcome change to me. The tone, the narrative, the dialogues, and the overall mood of Final Fantasy is a complete departure from the previous entries. It's much more dark, serious, brooding, and like the early seasons of Game of Thrones and any high fantasy tales that throws you off guard and makes you believe that even though you are witnessing a fantasy world, it might just be a reality somewhere. Each twist and turn of the narrative captivated me, ensuring an unforgettable journey through a world of dark high fantasy that modern audiences like me love to embark upon. Final Fantasy XVI has a very long and complicated storyline with a massive amount of lore. It can be hard digesting everything and follow the narrative path and make sense of it. One of the standout features in Final Fantasy XVI is the innovative active time lore system. This game-changing addition enhances your understanding of the world itself and its inhabitants by providing contextual compendium entries during cutscenes and conversations. You can pause during any cutscene and open up the active time lore to view the world around you and the characters dwelling it. These entries offer quick access to relevant information about the intricate lore, diverse terminology, characters, and locations within Valisthea. By eliminating the overwhelming feeling that can accompany vast narratives, the active time lore system allows us to fully immerse ourselves in the world of Valisthea, deepening our connection with the game and enhancing their overall experience. The ability to delve into the lore on the fly adds a layer of richness to the storytelling, ensuring that we as players are fully equipped to comprehend the vast world that we are going to explore. This is hands down the best implementation of in-game lore description that I have seen in a video game. The recent God of War games from Sony Santa Monica are undoubtedly some of the best games the industry has ever seen in terms of gameplay, graphics, narrative, polish, everything. However, if you ask a long-time God of War fan like me, what was the one thing that was missing from the soft reboot that we saw of Kratos was the sheer scale and spectacle that the first 3 God of War games had and produced. Fighting massive godlike creatures, climbing on top of them, and see the action unfold in an awe-inspiring fashion made your jaws drop to the floor in those games, which was clearly missing from these 2 new games in the franchise. You would expect with modern technology we would have seen something even more colossal, but sadly that was not the case. Final Fantasy XVI scratches that itch so beautifully and in such an epic way it's hard to define in words. It introduces you to the captivating concept of icons and dominance, which plays a significant role in both the story and the combat system this time around. Icons are incredibly powerful beings, reminiscent of the iconic summons from previous Final Fantasy games, somewhat like weapons of mass destruction in this world, while dominants are individuals capable of harnessing and transforming into these awe-inspiring entities. Dominants are revered but kept as a last resort due to the immense consequences of their battles. Encounters with icons in Final Fantasy XVI are nothing short of awe-inspiring, featuring colossal clashes that evoke a sense of sheer spectacle and unmatched power that I rarely have seen in a video game. These battles are so massive, so absolutely mind-bogglingly huge, that it makes Avengers in-game action sequences look like a street brawl between 2 drunken dudes. The exploration of the connection between icons, dominants, and the fate of Valisthea adds depth and intrigue to the game's overarching narrative in such a way that they don't feel tacked on or just there for the spectacle. Each one of these massive encounters carry weight and meaning in the world of Final Fantasy XVI. Probably the single most important thing that kept me away from Final Fantasy games all these years is the core combat of these games. I absolutely do not like turn-based combat, so the fact that Final Fantasy XVI has completely ditched its turn-based combat that is almost synonymous with the franchise and embrace a full-fledged action combat was clearly music to my ears. The combat mechanics in Final Fantasy XVI makes a complete departure from its traditional turn-based RPG elements, fully embracing the fast-paced and action-packed nature of the character action genre. Players take control of Clive Rosfield, executing a diverse range of melee and magical attacks as well as utilizing abilities derived from the equipped icons. It's exactly like Devil May Cry series, just a lot better. The combat system rewards skillful play, with strategic timing and precise execution being crucial to effectively staggering enemies and maximizing damage during vulnerable moments. While the combat mechanics may not delve as deeply into traditional RPG elements, they provide a satisfying gameplay loop, particularly during these epic boss battles that showcases its dynamic cinematic flair. Anyone who has played any sort of action games like God of War or Devil May Cry will feel right at home this time around. The combat in Final Fantasy XVI has gone completely mainstream, and that does put a huge smile on my face. Although the RPG elements in Final Fantasy XVI may appear slightly underdeveloped, the game compensates this with its myriad of side quests and exploration opportunities. Unfortunately, they never really rises beyond something that is just there to keep you busy. They never really reach the sheer depth and storytelling finesse like The Witcher 3 or Red Dead 2. By the midpoint of the game, I had to literally force myself to do some of the side content, as there was little to no incentive to do them. They were neither telling compelling storylines, nor they had exciting loot. You can totally complete the main game without doing any of the side quests, so that's a huge relief. Additionally, Final Fantasy XVI offers a bounty board where you can undertake challenging monster hunts for greater rewards. These are fun arcade-style modes where you can compete for high scores and improve your fighting skills. Overall, the side quests never reach the pristine quality of the main quests, and that's a bummer, as this world had a huge potential to tell exciting and intriguing side stories that could keep the player busy for days. Lastly, the music. Of course, the music. It's a Final Fantasy game after all. The franchise that boasts of some of the best and most melodious tracks in video gaming history. And I am glad to say Final Fantasy XVI gets a perfect score in this department too. The musical score of Final Fantasy XVI stands as a testament to its excellence, serving as a vital component that enhances the overall experience of this game. It's not there as a complement to your gameplay. Instead, it's there to transport you to this magical yet misery-soaked world of Valisthea. The carefully crafted melodies perfectly enhances every significant scene, evoking a wide range of emotions and amplifying the emotional impact of the narrative. Whether it is capturing the tender emotional moments between the characters or intensifying the epic battles against the Eikons, the soundtrack consumes you and throws you right in the middle of Valisthea, creating a truly immersive audiovisual experience. Each composition is meticulously composed to capture the essence of the game's diverse environments and storytelling beats, leaving a lasting impression on us and further solidifying Final Fantasy XVI as a masterful work of art. Final Fantasy XVI breaks new ground in the Final Fantasy series by delivering an immersive and captivating experience through its unique blend of character action gameplay and absolutely epic storytelling moments. From its grand tale of high fantasy to its innovative features like the active time low, the game offers us an unforgettable journey through the intricate world of Valisthea. While the combat mechanics may deviate a huge range from the traditional RPG elements, they provide a thrilling and engaging experience for old and new players alike, especially during the epic battles against these awe-inspiring icons. The lackluster side quests are a bit of a dud, but a rich and evocative soundtrack ensure a fulfilling and sensory gameplay experience that will leave a long-lasting impression on you, me, and everyone that plays the game. Final Fantasy XVI is a triumph of modern video games, and once again makes Final Fantasy a spectacle to behold and wait for years.